Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. French Prime Minister Michel Barnier ousted after losing a no-confidence vote. President Emmanuel Macron to address the nation. South Korea opposition pushed to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol over martial law order. North Korea-Russia defense treaty comes into force to deepen military cooperation and counter Western sanctions. Bhutanese King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk to arrive in Delhi on a 2-day visit to India to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to call on. And in men's Junior Asia Cup hockey, India beat Pakistan in the final to defend the title. French lawmakers on Wednesday voted to dismiss Prime Minister Michel Barnier's government just 3 months into his tenure. France's far-right and left-wing lawmakers joined together to vote a no-confidence motion prompted by budget disputes that forced Prime Minister Michel Barnier to resign. The National Assembly approved the motion by 331 votes. A minimum of 288 were needed. French President Emmanuel Macron will address the nation on Thursday evening in a televised speech. Macron insisted that he will serve the rest of his term until 2027. However, he will need to appoint a new prime minister for the second time after July's legislative elections led to a deeply divided parliament. His is the first French government to be defeated in a no-confidence motion since 1962, and Barnier is now set to become France's shortest-serving prime minister in history. French Prime Minister Michel Barnier said on Wednesday night that no confidence vote will make everything more difficult and that France's deficit problem will come back to haunt a future government.
What I am sure of, ladies and gentlemen, what I am saying with all seriousness in front of you is that this motion of no confidence, at a moment when you are certainly preparing to approve in conjunction with the opposition side, this motion of no confidence will make everything more serious and more difficult. That's what I'm sure of.
Meanwhile, Marine Le Pen, who leads the far-right party National Rally at Parliament, blamed the political impasse squarely at French President Emmanuel Macron, who she said had sought to destroy French institutions, including the police, and to weaken industrial players.
This budget doesn't just attack France, it takes French people hostage, and most especially the most vulnerable. Pensioners with limited resources, people with illness, impoverished workers, French people considered too rich to receive aid, but not poor enough to escape a financial hammering.
All right, let's turn focus to South Korean crisis now. South Korea's parliament on Thursday formally introduced a motion to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol, setting the stage for a historic vote which could oust him following the failure of his short-lived attempt to declare martial law. Yoon's declaration of martial law late on Tuesday attempted to ban political activity and censor the media in South Korea. The shock move divided Yoon's ministers and unleashed 6 hours of political chaos. The impeachment motion against Yoon was reported to a plenary session that opened shortly after midnight. Following the introduction of the motion, a vote on impeachment must be held within 24 to 72 hours. All right, our correspondent Amit Mukherjee is joining us from New Delhi. Amit, good morning. Now, after almost 6 hours of political chaos in South Korea, we now see the motion there to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol. Help us understand what next.
Preeti, as of now, once this, the decree has been issued, the army has issued the decree out here in South Korea, following which, all normal activities which happen under a democratic setup that get suspended. In fact, the press freedom has been curtailed. the Parliament building has also been sealed, as we are learning. And so no activity in the Parliament can take place right now. So any political activity as of now lies suspended. So in the wake of that, it's almost like president's rule out there, and uh, nothing really can move unless and until this decree is lifted. So as of now, freedom of press is curtailed. Even the doctors who were striking, they have been asked to report back on duty within 48 hours. So basically, now Yoon has taken control over the entire situation. And unless and until he steps back, steps down, because there were anticipation that the entire country is asking him to step down, and because obviously because the left, the liberal left, I mean, it has been engaging, as the government, as Yoon says right now, it has been engaging in anti-national activities, and it had certain leanings towards North Korea, which was not really unacceptable, which is why this move has been taken to TV.
All right, Amit, the president's tenure was to run until 2027. Now that we see this impeachment motion, who are likely to be his successors?
Well, as of now, there's a total chaos, Preeti, and who will be the political successor and what will be the political future of South Korea. As of now, it has to be seen, because as of now, it's a president's rule out there. As far as political and a democratic setup is concerned, that's out of the question at this point in time. So who succeeds Yoon right now is not to be seen. And what happens to South Korea right now? What are the developments that are taking place? That is more interesting right now. The international community is also looking at it. Of course, the people of South Korea was pretty unhappy with his way of handling things. So it's a total chaos right now, and unless and until there's clarity on what the next move would be, it's very difficult to say as to who the next successor would be. Preeti?
All right, you're talking of how there is still uncertainty, but then what does it hold in the future? For the developments in the Korean Peninsula. On one hand, we have this instability in South Korea. At the same time, we have North Korea and Russia defense treaties signed by the two leaders of the countries. Help us understand, what bearing will it have on the Korean Peninsula, this development in South Korea?
Well, Preeti, South Korea obviously has been very close to the US, and we saw the kind of alignments that had been happening, whether it's the Ukraine war, because even South Korea had taken a stance along with US that they will be sending troops to Ukraine to fight against the North Korean troops, which the Russians had mobilized at the front line. So, I mean, everything stands divided. The war which has been there, the conflict which has been there between North and South Korea, it had taken a situation which was beyond the borders of just borders of North and South Korea. So we had seen the conflict being panning out even in the European region. So I mean, it was very, very clear, and this government, the Yoon government, has obviously been very, very aggressive as far as North Korea is concerned. And that is what the whole issue of contention has also been, because Yoon has been alleging that the liberal left seems to be, cozying up with North Korea as well, which is also, which he has termed as an anti-social activity, following which, this kind of, martial law has been implemented out there in South Korea. Preeti?
All right. Thank you so much, Amit, for joining in with those inputs. And a North Korea-Russia defense treaty signed by Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin in June came into force on Wednesday with the exchange of ratification instruments in Moscow. The Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty binds the two nations to provide military aid without delay if either is attacked and to jointly resist Western sanctions. Amid allegations from the US and South Korea that North Korea has sent over 10,000 soldiers to aid Russia in Ukraine, both nations face heavy UN sanctions. Putin praised the agreement as a breakthrough, while Kim reaffirmed unwavering support for Russia's sovereignty. US President-elect Donald Trump asked the Georgia Appeals Court on Wednesday to end the criminal case against him in that state for attempting to overturn his 2020 election laws. Trump's lawyers asserted that the state's courts will not have jurisdiction over him once he returns to the White House. They stressed that a sitting president is immune from indictment or any criminal process. Trump was indicted in Georgia in August 2023 on 13 felony counts. Though 2 counts were later thrown out, he is alleged of changing the 2020 election outcome while participating in a criminal enterprise. Other charges include false claims of election fraud and solicitation of violation of oath. The Los Angeles City Council on Wednesday voted to adopt sanctuary city status for America's second biggest metropolis as liberal jurisdictions grid for Donald Trump's return to the White House. The ordinance, passed by a unanimous vote, will prohibit city resources or personnel from being used to implement federal immigration laws. The move comes as Trump appears ready to push ahead with campaign promises to carry out mass deportations of undocumented migrants with the appointment of hardliners to his administration. Los Angeles is home to a variety of cultures, with a large number of its residents first or second generation immigrants. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday announced former Senator Kelly Loeffler as his pick to lead the Small Business Administration. Trump chose Loeffler, a staunch supporter and donor, to co-chair his inaugural committee after he won the November 5th U.S. presidential election. Loeffler was appointed to the U.S. Senate seat from Georgia in 2019 to succeed former Senator Johnny Isakson, who retired. She lost it to Democrat Raphael Warnock in a special election in 2021. During her stint in the U.S. Senate, Loeffler served briefly on the Senate Agriculture Committee. Paul Atkins, a veteran financial regulator and a pro-crypto lawyer, is President-elect Donald Trump's choice to lead and possibly overhaul the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Sharing why he chose Atkins for the post, Trump said that the former SEC commissioner, who has argued against too much market regulation, is a proven leader for common sense regulations. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, thousands return to streets of Tbilisi as pro-EU protests continue in Georgia after arrest of the opposition leader. Millions left without power as already battered Cuba's energy grid collapses. Japan's centuries-old Sikh tradition recognized on the UNESCO Cultural Heritage List.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
We have with us Mr. Philippe Noyes from Australia. So when we talk about, first of all, the award, because you've been sharing a lot of stories about Satyajit Ray and what kind of inspiration you drew from the legend.
Satyajit Ray taught us to look for the heart, to make stories from the heart, to be small in scope but big in heart. You know, receiving this award named after that great filmmaker, it's humbling.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD Indian News Hour. The Israeli military continues its operation to neutralize Hamas from the Gaza Strip. Israeli tanks pushed into northern parts of the Khan Yunis area in south of the Gaza Strip on Wednesday. Residents said that tanks advanced one day after the Israeli military issued new evacuation orders, saying there had been rocket launches by Hamas from the area. With shells crashing near residential areas, families left their homes and headed westwards towards the nearby humanitarian designated area of Al-Mawasi. The Israeli military said the strike targeted senior Hamas militants operating from the humanitarian zone in Khan Yunis. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced in a statement on Wednesday that the body of a hostage had been recovered from the Gaza Strip. 38-year-old Itay Swirsky was kidnapped during Hamas's surprise attack, and his body was recovered in an operation by the Shin Bet Internal Security Agency, aided by the military. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum, which is a campaign group representing relatives of those abducted to Gaza, said that returning Itay's body for proper burial in Israel provides crucial closure for his family and demanded the immediate release of the remaining hostages.
Stating this evening that in a joint operation by the Shin Bet and the IDF in the Gaza Strip, the body of hostage Itay Swirsky was recovered from Gaza and brought back to Israel. Itay was kidnapped from his parents' home in Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th. His parents were murdered by Hamas terrorists and he was abducted while still alive. He was held captive for about 4 months. In January, we confirmed that Itay was murdered by their captors.
Israel's army released footage on Wednesday of a strike on what they call a Hezbollah launcher in southern Lebanon amid an ongoing ceasefire agreement between the two sides. In a post on messaging app Telegram accompanying the video, the army said a launcher that was identified in Majdal zone in southern Lebanon, violating the agreements between Israel and Lebanon and posing a threat to the state of Israel. Israel says it targets Hezbollah's fighters and infrastructure. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said on Wednesday that Israel had pressurized Hamas to the extent that a hostage deal with the Iranian-backed group might be possible. Speaking to soldiers at an Air Force base in central Israel, Katz said that due to increasing military pressure, there is a chance that this time we will really be able to advance a hostage deal. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's incoming Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, has met the Prime Ministers of Qatar and Israel to kickstart the U.S. President-elect's diplomatic push to reach a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal before he takes office on January 20th. Steve Witkoff, the incoming envoy, traveled to Qatar and Israel in late November, the sources said. The meeting signaled that the Gulf state of Qatar had resumed its role as a key mediator after suspending that role last month, the source said, adding that negotiators from militant group Hamas would likely return to the Qatari capital Doha to facilitate a fresh round of talks soon. Two-day NATO's foreign ministers meeting wrapped up in Belgium's capital on Wednesday. On the last day, support for war-torn Ukraine was on top of the ministers' agenda. NATO chief urged allies to provide enough support to Ukraine that can change the trajectory of the war. Outgoing U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken received warm reception from his NATO counterparts and said that Ukraine had hard decisions to make about mobilization. DD India's Aman Kumar Himanshu has more on this.
The meeting of NATO Ministers of Foreign Affairs concluded in Brussels on Wednesday. On the last day of meeting, members agreed to provide air defense system to protect Ukraine's infrastructure. Chairing the two-day meeting, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said that Ukraine needs urgent and enough support to change trajectory of the conflict.
Allies are working to deliver on the financial pledge of 40 billion euros in security assistance for Ukraine in 2024. And I expect the new command in Wiesbaden, the NATO Security Assistance and Training for Ukraine, to be fully operational by the end of this year. But we must do more than just keep Ukraine in the fight. We must provide enough support to change the trajectory of this conflict once and for all.
Outgoing U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken paid his final visit to NATO headquarters, where he discussed the West Asia situation. Secretary Blinken said that the ceasefire in Lebanon is holding despite a series of incidents between Israel and Hezbollah.
What's happened? The ceasefire is holding, and we're using the mechanism that was established when any concerns have arisen about any alleged or purported violations. Both parties, that is to say Israel and Hezbollah through the Lebanese government, wanted and continue to want the ceasefire.
Meanwhile, foreign ministers of Czech Republic said that up to 100 suspicious incidents took place in Europe this year.
This year, there were 500 suspicious incidents in Europe. Up to 100 of them can be attributed to Russia, hybrid attacks, espionage, influence operations. We need to send a strong signal to Moscow that this won't be tolerated, and we can see also a price in the frequency of those attacks, so it is very dangerous.
NATO meeting agenda includes the security situation on allied territory since the beginning of Russia-Ukraine conflict in 2022. Allies also discuss more intensive cooperation with southern neighbors. Ukraine sees NATO membership as the best guarantee of its future security. At the heart of this alliance is Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty, which states that attack on one country has an attack on all. Bureau Report, DD India.
Mass protests continued for a seventh night in Georgia on Wednesday, triggered by governing party's decision to suspend negotiations on joining the European Union. The protest came after Georgian police raided the offices of an opposition party and arrested its leader earlier in the day in an apparent attempt to halt the movement. Georgian opposition media figure, former Justice Minister and ally of ex-Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili, now head of the Coalition for Change party, Nika Gwarimia, was detained by police in the capital Tbilisi. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze said that the ongoing arrests of opposition figures and reported searches at the offices of various organizations in Georgia were more prevention than repression.
I could not call it repression. It is more prevention than repression. Regarding the connection, it is a fact one thing is confirmed. People were systematically supplied with pyrotechnics and other means by the relevant political forces. This is absolutely clear, and it lies in the palm of the hand.
Namibians show excitement as the country elects the first woman president. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah has made history by becoming Namibia's first female president. The 72-year-old won more than 57% of the vote, with her closest rival, Paduleni Itula, getting 26%. And according to the Election Commission, Nandi-Ndaitwah has fought against occupying powers, fled into exile, and also established herself as one of the most prominent women in Namibian politics. Namibians are excited after the country elected its first woman president, marking a historic moment in the country's political history. Cuba's energy grid has collapsed, leaving millions without power, the latest in a series of failures on an island struggling from creaking infrastructure, natural disasters and economic turmoil. This year, Cuba's grid fell into a near-total disarray, stressed by fuel shortages, natural disaster and economic crisis. Dwindling oil imports from Venezuela, Russia and Mexico pushed the island's obsolete and struggling oil-fired power plants into full crisis several months ago. Hours-long rolling blackouts and severe shortages of food, medic grid, suffering and water have made life increasingly unbearable for many Cubans who in recent years have fled the island in record-breaking numbers. An alarming health crisis is unfolding in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where an unidentified disease has claimed at least 27 lives and sickened 382 people in just over a month, striking the remote Panzi region, 700 kilometers southeast of Kinshasa. The illness causes fever, headaches and a persistent cough, affecting people of all ages, including children. Local authorities fear the death toll could be as high as 67. Provincial health officials urge calm but have restricted movement in and out of the region and advised against physical greetings. A team of epidemiologists supported by World Health Organization is racing to uncover the cause. Samples are being tested as the nation grapples with another public health emergency. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has granted legal recognition to 3 new indigenous territories, bringing the total to 13 during his current term. The newly recognized lands include Potiguara de Montemor in Paraba and 2 in Santa Catarina, Morro dos Cavalos and Toldo Imbu. Now, these territories receive legal protection against illegal loggers, miners and ranchers. While Lula has championed indigenous rights, recognition for some territories face delays due to occupation disputes. One such case is Alagoas remains unresolved, though discussions are set for next week. Lula's third term underscores his commitment to safeguarding Brazil's indigenous lands amid ongoing environmental and social challenges. Mexican security forces seized 1,100 kilograms of fentanyl in Sinaloa, the largest haul in the nation's history. Equivalent to 20 million doses and valued at $400 million, the seizure strikes a heavy blow to organized crime. The operation, guided by intelligence and public tips, targeted 2 properties in a home, uncovering fentanyl, precursor chemicals, vehicles and industrial mixers. Now, this comes amid escalating violence between Sinaloa cartel factions following the arrest of kingpin El Mayo Zambada. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum hailed the operation as a major success, emphasizing its long-term planning. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump pressurized Mexico to curb fentanyl trafficking and illegal migration, threatening tariffs if significant progress is not made. The Arab Coordination Group has committed up to $10 billion to fight land degradation, desertification and drought by 2030. The announcement came during the UN Convention to Combat Desertification's COP16 conference in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The initiative aims to preserve ecosystems while securing livelihoods in vulnerable communities. The focus would be on vulnerable regions, particularly in the West Asia, North Africa and Sahel. Now, this latest commitment draws from several previous ACG pledges, through which it plans to utilize innovative financing instruments and partnerships to achieve its goals in sustainable land management and biodiversity conservation. The Arab Coordination Group is a strategic alliance of 10 major development finance institutions focused on fostering economic and social development in the emerging markets. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. CEO of United Health Insurance Unit, Brian Thompson, was fatally shot on Wednesday outside a Midtown Manhattan hotel in a targeted attack by a gunman lying in the wait. The shooting occurred outside the Hilton on 6th Avenue, where the company's annual investor conference was about to take place. Thompson was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police said the gunman remains at large. Hughes Battle House explosion in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Aerial footage showed a blackened 2-storied home with a street lined with fire trucks. There were no immediate reports of injuries and the cause of the fire is under investigation. The head of the Colombian Coffee Growers Federation downplayed any concerns about potential negative effects from the incoming U.S. administration under President-elect Donald Trump. Colombia, renowned for producing the world's finest Arabica beans, known for their exceptional quality and aroma, is the leading supplier of this variety globally. Japan's centuries-old sake tradition was recognized on UNESCO Cultural Heritage List. Producers hope this will boost global interest in the traditional beverage that dates back centuries but has waned in popularity at home. Sake producers hope UNESCO's recognition accelerates their exports and reinvigorates enthusiasm for the beverage at home. Conservationists in England are spearheading a nature restoration experiment in North Yorkshire, moving fungi-rich soil from an ancient woodland to a newly established site. The project aims to reintroduce missing fungi species integral to tree health and soil sustainability, potentially informing nationwide forest management practices. The experiment focuses on fungi, which helps trees remain healthy and resilient to diseases and extreme weather. Brazil Museum unites artists and acrobats in new exhibition show. The En Piste exhibition in Marseille explores the fascinating intersection between art and acrobatics. This exhibition unites contemporary works of art with the often overlooked humble objects of acrobats, such as their costumes, tools, and props. Now, these objects are presented as part of an immersive experience that combines visual art with the grace and skill of circus performance. A short break ahead. You're watching DD India News. But after the break, Russian President Putin hails Make in India at Russia Calling Economy Forum, says ready to establish manufacturing plants in India. We will also get you all the updates on Parliament proceedings. Another feather in India's cap as India shines in the global AI landscape. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News. A quick relook at the top stories once again. French Prime Minister Michel Barnier ousted after losing no confidence vote. President Emmanuel Macron to address the nation. South Korea opposition pushed to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol over martial law order. North Korea-Russia defense treaty comes into force to deepen military cooperation and counter Western sanctions. Bhutanese King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk to arrive in Delhi on a two-day visit to India to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to call on. And in men's Junior Asia Cup hockey, India beat Pakistan in the final to defend the title. Russian President Vladimir Putin has once again underlined how initiatives like Make in India have helped the country make huge progress in recent years. He made these remarks during an interaction with Russia Calling Investment Forum. Putin said that India First policy has created stable conditions in the country and Russia is ready to place manufacturing sites in the country.
Mr. Modi has a similar program, Make in India. And this is a very similar program to ours, and we would be ready to place our manufacturing sites in India. Also, the biggest investment in the Indian economy to the tune of $20 billion by Rosneft happened not long ago, and the Prime Minister of India and the government of India have been creating stable conditions. And this is because the Indian leadership has been pursuing India comes first policy. And we believe that investments in India are profitable.
The Indian Space Research Organization ISRO is gearing up for the launch of PSLV C-59 Proba 3 mission on Thursday from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in southern state of Andhra Pradesh's Sriharikota. Earlier, the mission was scheduled for the launch on December 4th, but due to anomaly detected, it was rescheduled for December 5th. Showcasing India's role in global space innovation, the mission highlights advanced space technologies made possible by the collaboration between New Space India Limited, ISRO and European Space Agency. The mission will function as an orbital lab, demonstrating acquisition, rendezvous, proximity operations and formation flying, while validating innovative meteorology sensors and also control algorithms, opening up novel methods of mission control. Let's get to updates on the winter session of Parliament. The Indian Parliament will resume its daily proceedings of the winter session on Thursday, with the upper house of the Parliament to take Bharatiya Vayuyan Vidhek 2024, the bill for consideration and passage, while the lower house will take up Railways Amendment Bill 2024 and Disaster Management Amendment Bill 2024 for consideration and passage. Wednesday witnessed opposition MPs staging a walkout in Rajya Sabha against the centre's alleged anti-farmer policies and for not fulfilling the promise of hiking minimum support price for various crops. Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar slammed the MPs, saying the interest of farmers is not served by sloganeering. In the upper house, the Boilers Bill 2024 was passed. Union ministers stressed that the Boilers Bill seeks to make the country safe. All right, Vishal Barristow joins us from New Delhi for more on this. Vishal, good morning. Now, after the opposition staged a walkout yesterday in the upper house, what do we expect today? Get us a sense of the legislative business that is to be taken up. Explain to us in detail, which is a broad outline of what all is to be taken up in both the houses today.
Well, a very good morning to you, Preeti. When we talk about the opposition's walkout, it was spearheaded by the Congress party and also joined by AAP and some other parties. But it was only for the 0 hour, and then they again assembled for the proceedings of the House. That was a brief protest. But today we are expecting two very important bills. The Union Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav is expected to reply, because we are expecting the bill to be passed because it was discussed at length yesterday, and the Railways Bill, Amendment Bill, would be there for the passage in the Lok Sabha. And another very important bill which is going to be introduced today by the Union Minister, who also holds the home portfolio, Amit Shah, would be introducing the Disaster Management Bill. And it talks about how we can create local forces at the corporation level. Apart from Delhi and Chandigarh, we can have such forces, so that in conjunction with the central forces, they can work together and can be the immediate response to any disaster at the local level. When we talk about the upper house, yes, there is another very important bill which was passed by the Lok Sabha, which is Vimanan Vidhek, which is aircraft bill, and it talks about the maintenance, the export, import of the aircraft, and it is also going to go a long way as far as the aviation industry is concerned. Now, another, when we talk about statements by the minister, a very important statement is expected in the lower house of the parliament by the Minister of State for External Affairs, Kirtivardan Singh, and he would be making a statement on what is the government planning on India's neighborhood first policy. Also, what is there in the mind of the government when we talk about the Indian diaspora across the globe, and then the demand and grant for the external affairs for the year 23-24. So these are the important developments that would take place today in the parliament.
All right. So this was about the important developments and the important legislative business that will be taken up in both the houses today. Vishal, also very quickly help our viewers understand the Boilers Bill that was passed yesterday. To what how far will it help in making the country safe? Help us understand. Get more on this.
When we talk about the Boilers Bill, we have seen that there were a lot of incidents and there were a lot of accidents also at the industrial level, at the local levels also. So this boiler bill assures the safety of the boiler, especially for the industrial use, and safety of the workers working in that industrial unit. So it was long due, and after a long deliberation and consideration, it has been passed in the Lok Sabha, and now it would come up for discussion in the upper house of the parliament.
All right, Vishal, thank you so much for joining in with those details and those inputs. Bhutanese King Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk will pay a 2-day visit to India beginning Thursday, with an aim to further expand the already close ties between the two countries. During the visit, Bhutanese King will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will also call on the visiting dignitary. India and Bhutan enjoy unique ties of friendship and cooperation, which are characterized by mutual understanding and trust. The visit shall provide both sides an opportunity to review the entire gamut of bilateral cooperation and to further advance the exemplary bilateral partnership across diverse sectors. In Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis will be sworn in as Chief Minister at Mumbai's historic Azad Maidan today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who helped pull off the BJP's historic 132-seat win in Maharashtra, will be present for the swearing-in. Earlier, Fadnavis, along with leaders of the BJP, the Shiv Sena and the NCP's Mahayuti alliance, submitted a letter of support to the governor on Wednesday. Following this, Fadnavis said that his government would work 24/7 for the welfare of the people across segments, caste, communities and religion, backward and also oppressed classes. India shines in the global AI landscape, ranking 4th in Stanford's Global Vibrancy Tool 2024. Excelling in AI research, talent and development, India joins leaders like US, China and the UK in shaping the future technology. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya gets us more in this report.
India continues its impressive journey in the global AI race. A recent report by the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered AI has ranked India 4th among the 36 countries for its vibrant AI ecosystem. The study highlights India's strong performance in key areas like AI journal, conference publications, citations, AI talent concentration and hiring trends.
AI is phenomenal transformation that it's doing, and I think India is the GPI chair. We have done a phenomenal job, I think, with the government support. One of the key things that we have done from a company standpoint is CISA and CERTIN has partnered and rolled out cybersecurity for AI. So in cybersecurity, AI is being used tremendously, and we are helping the initiative of putting India on the global map for AI. So one of the key things that we have done is partnered with American National Accreditation Board, which is the supreme board for accreditation of certifications. So we have partnered with them, and that has given a big recognition. We are also working with other governments and taking cybersecurity for AI and putting India on the global map as a company.
Leading the way globally, the United States takes the top spot, excelling in private AI investment, machine learning model development and responsible AI research. Meanwhile, China secures the second place, showcasing a robust AI development framework, followed closely by United Kingdom in third position.
AI security is going to become a very big area where I think just not AI playing a role in generative AI, but I think one of the key things that India and CISA can play a larger role is how do you secure AI? Because responsible AI, privacy in AI, data protection in AI becomes extremely important.
The findings are based on the Global Vibrancy Tool 2024, which aggregates 42 indicators to map the AI readiness and evolution of nations worldwide. This tool not only showcases the global leaders, but also identifies emerging strengths and areas needing improvement across the AI ecosystem. India's ranking reaffirms its growing influence in AI innovation and talent positioning as a key player in shaping the future of technology, not just in the country, but globally. With Campus Energy, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
After battling very poor and severe air quality for 50 days, Delhi saw a significant improvement in pollution levels. The AQI dropped to the moderate category, providing Delhiites with the cleanest air day in December this year. Now, according to Central Pollution Control Board, the AQI in India Gate area reached 128. The Met Department has forecast a surge in pollution levels after December 7th as a result of a fresh western disturbance. Meanwhile, Supreme Court will hear the issue of air pollution in Delhi NCR. Today, the court will decide whether the restrictions imposed under GRAP 4 should be continued or some relaxation should be given. During the last meeting, the Supreme Court had summoned the chief secretaries of NCR states for not giving grant money to construction workers. They will also join the hearing through video conferencing. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. IT Madras, one of the premier institutions in the country, continues to excel nationally and internationally in academics, engineering and technology. It has become the first Indian higher education institution to establish an offshore campus in Zanzibar, Tanzania, extending its global footprint. The collaboration with NASA, IIT Madras is conducting groundbreaking research aboard the International Space Station. The focus is on safeguarding astronaut health by studying multi-drug resistant pathogens in space. A group of terrorists opened fire on an off-duty army jawan, leaving him injured in the Tral area of Awantipura in Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir. The jawan was shot in the leg and sustained 2 bullet injuries. Soon after the attack, the Indian Army, along with Jammu and Kashmir Police, has launched a massive cordon and search operation in the area. Janakpur of Nepal is all set for Sita Ram Vivah Panchami festival to be held on December 6th. The Vivah Panchami festival is concluding on December 7th. The week-long Vivah Panchami festival, commemorating the union of Princess Sita and Lord Ram in Vedic era, is celebrated with gaiety and religious fervour in Janakpur. The 33rd edition of Miss Nagaland concluded with an elegant ceremony at the Regional Centre for Music and Performing Arts. 18-year-old Anon Konyak A was crowned Miss Nagaland. The event was organized by Beauty and Aesthetics Society Nagaland under the theme Grace and Beauty, the Woman in You. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, India's service sector growth remains strong in November. In sports, D. Gukesh and reigning champion Ding Liren to face each other in the 9th game of the World Chess Championship. Highlighting the importance of soil, December 5th celebrated as the World Soil Day.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to you updates from the world of business now. Growth in India's dominant services sector remained strong in November, driven by high demand, record hiring and the steepest price rise in over a decade. New orders from both domestic and international markets also supported the growth. The HSBC India Services Purchasing Managers Index remained strong at 58.4 in November. The sub-index for new business fell slightly but showed no major signs of weakness, with international demand rising at its fastest pace since August. Union Minister of State for Finance MP Chaudhary led a high-level delegation to Zakat Tax and Customs Authority Conference 2024 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The two-day conference, running on 4th and 5th of December, focused on shaping tomorrow for sustainable ecosystems. During the conference, Chaudhary held bilateral talks with Saudi Finance Minister Mohammed Al Jadaan to enhance economic and tax cooperation between the two nations. The minister also participated in an interministerial panel discussing economic recovery and global growth amid the challenges, where he highlighted India's policy innovations and also growth strategies. The conference brings together global experts and decision makers to explore emerging trends and technologies in taxation and customs. Bitcoin rose above $100,000 for the first time on Thursday as the election of Republican Donald Trump as president of the U.S. spurred expectations that his administration will create a friendly regulatory environment for cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin has more than doubled in value this year and is up about 45% in the 4 weeks since Trump's sweeping election victory. More than 16 years after its creation, Bitcoin appears on the cusp of mainstream acceptance. A quick look at sports updates on DD India News Hour now. A moment of pride for coach P.R. Srijesh as the Indian hockey team defeated arch rivals Pakistan 5-3 in the final of Men's Junior Asia Cup 2024 hockey in Muscat on Wednesday. With this win, India claimed a record-extending 5th title. Arijit Singh Hundal was the hero for the winning side with 4 goals, while Dheeraj Singh hit 1. For Pakistan, Sufyan Khan hit 2 and Hanan Shahid scored 1 goal. It was Pakistan who took an early lead in the game, but India bounced back within a minute to level the scores. Thanks to Arijit, India even took a 3-1 lead at one point, but their opponents too made a remarkable comeback to make it 3-all. Arijit then scored twice in the fourth quarter to help India eventually win the game. Indian chess grandmaster D. Gukesh and reigning champion Ding Liren will face each other once again in the 9th game of the World Chess Championship 2024 on Thursday in Singapore. Game 8 saw a 5th consecutive draw between both the challengers, while the game ended in a draw after 51 moves. The 14-round match saw its 6th draw. Liren secured a victory in the opening game, while 18-year-old Gukesh claimed the 3rd game. Their scores are now levelled at 4 each with 6 games to go. The first player to reach 7.5 points will win the title. India qualifies for the semi-finals of the Under-19 Asia Cup 2024 after thrashing UAE by 10 wickets in their final group game in Sharjah. Batting first, UAE were bundled out for a dismal 137 with 6 overs to spare. Mohammad Rayan top scored with 35, while Akshat Rai scored a crucial 26. India's Yudhajit Guha bagged 3 wickets, while Chetan Sharma and Hardik Raj took 2 each. Openers Vaibhav Suryavanshi and Ayush Matre added an unbeaten 143 to see India across the line in just 16.1 overs. India will clash with Sri Lanka in the semi-final on Wednesday. Hendrik Klaassen is set to captain South Africa in the 3 T20 matches against Pakistan next week, allowing Aiden Markram to concentrate on the Test series. Marco Jansen, Keshav Maharaj, Kagiso Rabada and Tristan Stubbs will also sit out of the T20 series because of their involvement in the Test, but will play in the 3rd ODI between the two countries later in the month. Fast bowler Andrich Nodje and spinner Tabrai Shamsi returned to the T20 side for the first time since the T20 World Cup in June. The first match is in Durban on December 10th, followed by back-to-back clashes in Pretoria on December 13th and in Johannesburg the following day. India's Sultan won a bronze medal in the men's triple jump event in athletics at the 10th Asia Pacific Deaf Games 2024 in Malaysia. Jaspal Singh also delivered an impressive performance, securing a silver medal in men's shot put. Additionally, India had a remarkable haul of medals in the badminton category. In men's singles, Abhinav won a silver medal while Piyush scored a bronze medal. In women's singles, Zherlin won a bronze medal. The women's doubles team comprising of Zherlin and Aditya also bagged a bronze medal. In the mixed doubles event, Abhinav and Zherlin secured a silver medal. December 5th is World Soil Day. On this day, the global community comes together to rededicate itself to recognizing the critical role that soil plays in sustaining life on Earth. The theme for World Soil Day 2024 is Caring for Soils, Measure, Monitor, Manage. This theme underscores the importance of accurate soil data and information in understanding soils. A detailed report ahead.
To understand the importance of soil in sustaining life on Earth, one can consider soil as Earth's skin, protecting, nourishing and sustaining life both above as well as below its surface. Thus, the condition of our soil reflects the health of our planet. The origins of World Soil Day can be traced back some decades to the tireless efforts of soil scientists and environmental advocates. In 2002, the International Union of Soil Sciences proposed the creation of a day dedicated to soil awareness. But it wasn't until 2013 that the United Nations General Assembly officially designated 5th December 2014 as the first official World Soil Day. This date was chosen to honor the birthday of late King of Thailand, Bhumibol Adulyadej, who was a passionate advocate of soil conservation. Despite its vital importance, the Earth's soil today faces numerous threats. Erosion, pollution, and unsustainable farming practices are rapidly degrading this precious natural resource. The United Nations estimates that 33% of global soils have already been degraded, and if the current trends continue, as much as 90% of the Earth's soil could be degraded by 2050. This would pose a grave threat to world food security and biodiversity. Meanwhile, India is making its own efforts to save the soil. More than 220 million soil health cards have been made and given to farmers to assess the current status of soil health and for better land management. In a research facility in the northwest of Beijing, molecular biologist Li Chenping and his team are harvesting unusually small potatoes grown under conditions that simulate predictions of the higher temperatures by the end of the century. These potatoes provide ominous indications of the state of future food security. Climate change has also led to the mutation of potato late blight strains, and new more aggressive strains have begun to emerge, and they are more resistant to traditional prevention and control methods, making disease control more difficult. Agriculture accounts for 23% of greenhouse gas emissions, 80% of deforestation, and 70% of freshwater use. A growing world population means that the world needs to produce considerably more food on this same area of land, a task made difficult by increasing soil degradation. What's also worrying is the increasing use of plastic. Growing evidence indicates that high concentrations of plastic affect critical soil functions negatively. Ongoing efforts to address this issue have met with limited success. In South Korea's Busan, countries negotiating a global treaty to curb plastic pollution failed to reach an agreement on Monday. Meanwhile, in Riyadh, the United Nations Biodiversity Summit is striving to address the issues of land degradation, drought, and desertification around the world. The soil of our planet is a critical natural resource, and it is time the world wakes up to the fact, which World Soil Day reminds us, that soil conservation is not just an environmental issue, but a matter of our very human survival. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audience. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. On that reminder, we end this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
While our needs have expanded,